Yeah, let me first note that migrant political participation is a very important area of integration in host communities uh, because few opportunities are given to to the majority of the migrant, uh, to participate in policies that affect their daily lives. Yet, when we view this, we will note that these migrants contribute significantly to the socio-economic development of their host communities. Yet, their political participation is underrepresented. They are not well represented in decision-making process, and it is considered a sort of marginalization if you are not involved in policies that affect your lives. You feel marginalized. And we all know that when we talk about governance that is inclusive, it means that it has to involve various ethnic groups, various migrant communities, local population. Everybody in the society should be involved. That is what we call inclusive governance. So we should also come to terms with the fact that migration is growing at a very higher pace now, more than population growth rate globally. So we have over 280 million international migrants everywhere. So if you want to build a society that is inclusive, it is very important that host communities make laws that can promote migrant political participation. Yeah, political participation goes beyond voting. Ordinarily, when you ask people what they know about political participation, what comes to their minds is, voting. I'm not even registered, I'm not permitted to vote, and they feel discouraged. But the fact remains that there are many ways where migrants specifically can participate, including citizens, in political activities, or what we call public affairs of the country. You can you have the freedom to express your opinion about whatever goes on around you. You can also vote, which is an essential part in an election. You can sign and circulate a petition or contact public officials on issues that affect residents that you consider very essential to be addressed, maybe by lawmakers, policymakers, or bureaucrats. Then you can even donate money for campaign. You can work even for candidates during an election. Apart from that, you can also run, which is the most important one, run for public office, and you can also engage in voluntary services in the community. These forms of political participation. There are others that can be considered unconventional, that people participate in. When you engage in demonstrations, protest, strike, these are various ways of engaging in political affairs of the country. For migrants, there are different levels of engagement. The first one is participation. The second one is mobilization. And the third one is representation. Representation is when you are represented maybe in parliament or at any particular organization, representing your interests, maybe as minority. Participation is what I've said. Mobilization can be in form of advocacy when you mobilize people for a cause. At different levels, migrant voices can be heard through all these levels of active participation. For instance, EU has about 21 million third country nationals, and that is about 49% of those who have been living in Europe for a minimum of 10 years. Almost 50% of that 21 million have been living in Europe for a minimum of 10 years. So their exclusion, if they are not involved in the political decision-making process, that will rob them of their dignity as participants in the host community, as residents. And it also makes them, it makes social integration very difficult. How do you integrate people without participation? It is contradictory. The good news is that 14 out of 27 EU member states allow some categories of resident third country nationals to participate in local election. And I think this should be replicated in the remaining EU member states like Malta. And I must say that this is not an overnight process. You know, it's a long process. You don't just have a law. You don't have the law allowing you to participate in politics, bringing that to your doorstep. No, you have to be involved. It involves a lot of lobbying, a lot of activities, advocacy for that to happen. So migrant communities can start from somewhere in partnership with other stakeholders.